you've been doing this for a long time. You've been around for a long time. Do you still like have passion and conviction for it, or do you tend to sit back and look at it more as an observer these days, or like a commentator?
I've always viewed myself as John Madden in Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin Uncensored again was colored commentary, color commentary. I don't mean to be offensive racially. It was so Bitcoin Uncensored was color commentary for the most part. I always felt like we were sitting in like a stadium watching all the players on the field, those players being like Bitcoin, shitcoins, everything else, and just like watching them fight and then just like pointing at them and laughing. And that like, I still think that that's the proper role, particularly for like non-technical people. I'm not a super technical person. My biggest competency is like fart jokes, dick butt jokes now I'm moving into, but like a lot of like, that's my competency. You know, Chris was more technical than I was on the show, but like, I understand Bitcoin at a more philosophical level. I do get it. Do I care about what?
Do you care about some of the ideas people have for Bitcoin, it growing, it becoming money that's adopted wider?
I don't care what Bitcoin does.
Do you care what Bitcoin did?
I do care a lot about what Bitcoin did. I feel very much like the biographer in some ways, or one of the biographers of Bitcoin. I know that we have something very important. I'm pretty sure. And I want to know, and I don't think that there's any of us that can command it to go in any direction one way or the other. We are here to kind of serve it in some sense. Like Bitcoin is this thing, it's amorphous. We don't really know what it's for. There's a bunch of people who looked at it like it's like Jed Clampett putting his like, you know, thing in the ground and up comes oil. Like that's kind of what happened with Bitcoin. We see this thing, we're like, that's weird. What is that? And you kind of taste it, and you're like, oh, it tastes like money. Weird. And like, we don't know we don't know exactly what it's good for. El Salvador is trying to see if it's good for nation states. Is it? I don't know. I was talking to a gentleman today, said that the crime in El Salvador is way down. Is it because of Bitcoin? Maybe. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of experiments that we're running and a lot of people are running that are going to teach us a lot about what Bitcoin will do. There's a lot of things that we've done in the past that teach us what Bitcoin can do. And there's a lot of people just trying, throwing shit at the wall now. We don't know what Bitcoin is. It's this pseudo invention that I think probably if Satoshi didn't do it, someone would have done it at some point, put all of these components together. It would have been constructed very similarly. And many of the things that are in Bitcoin would be in whatever that was. It would look almost exactly alike. And I don't know what it will do, but there's no one here powerful enough to direct it in any given way. So like this thing will, I don't know, maybe it'll do remittances. We don't know. Maybe it'll remove the government from remittances. Maybe as the libertarians say, it's going to remove money from the hands of the printer, the government printer. Maybe it removes, the state from money completely. Maybe it puts the hand in the hands of sovereign individuals, all of the power. We don't know. We theorize that these are things that it can do. And we are at the beginning stages of some of the experiments that may make that stuff possible.
What would you say it has done then?
Bitcoin made it really easy for people who are addicted to drugs to get them more easily. Well, it's true though.
Like, but there's a different. Actually, there is a spin on that, which is a highly relevant point.
Yeah,
you make the joke for people addicted to drugs together, but actually, what it did is it did remove crime. Well, there's a lot of crime from the drug and the Drug Policy Alliance.
Other than that evil man Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah.
No, but
it took away the person-to-person interaction for the consumption of drugs.
The way that money works right now is that the government prints it, and they give it to the banks basically to distribute. And those banks, like libertarians and others, call this evil. I think it's somewhat neutral. Like, I don't know how else you would do it. That's called the Cantillon effect. Like, basically, those that are closest to the money printer, they get the best, they get the most from the effects of printing money. They basically get to thrive and grift off of the not numismatic value. What's it called? Well, the printing of money, right? The profits of printing money. Bitcoin has sort of a reverse Cantillon effect, where those who have been shut out of the money system, they needed something. Whether it's immigrants, whether it's people who were buying or selling drugs. So Bitcoin had this like weird thing where it started, the people that had most access to it were the people that had the least access to the Cantillon effect as a whole. So it's got this weird thing where like prostitutes got it first, drug dealers got it first, people in the inner city needed it most and got it first. And it's kind of like trickled up. And now we're at the stage where it's like, family offices are like, do I need this in my portfolio? Which is weird because that's the end of the chain.
Well, an interesting thing of that is I spoke to somebody recently and they worked on the institutional side and they said, look, there's zero interest from institutions now. They took a look and they don't like it. And I think the problems for institutions is for it to be relevant, they have to take a big bet. And to take a big bet is a huge risk. So it continues to bubble up for those, and most of those who've got the smallest amount of money because they got the least at risk.
Yes, but more than that, like institutions, when they take a big bet, we're not talking like the size of bet that many of us might think is. It's not like $10 million. Like they're not. I remember way back, it was like when Bitcoin had a market cap of $5 million. I was on a bus with a banker from Goldman Sachs, good friend of mine, and I was talking to him about Bitcoin, and I said, if I were Goldman, I would take a small position in this. It's $5 million. Like it's so small. And so like he laughs and he's like, if we were going to do anything, like we would short the whole thing. But there's no money in it. And I didn't realize then how much money they were dealing with. Like $5 million is tiny. And now what are we? We're like nearly $1 trillion market cap. But like you still can't make easily like a 5, 10, $20 billion bet. Well, half a billion or $500 billion market cap, probably, right?
Yeah, 450
at the moment. But we were at nearly $1 trillion at one time.
We were over like 1.2 at one point,
Yeah.
1.3, yeah.
So we're small. Like these institutions can't make a bet on this yet. Like, the thing is, back then when Bitcoin had a $5 million market cap, people at Goldman were laughing, and now they're actually taking seriously the possibility that at some point they might have to make a bet. They're looking at it seriously and deciding that they don't like it. Fine. That's a really different position than like, that's so small, we can't do anything. Like now it's like, maybe at some point we'll have to make a bet and put this into our portfolio. It's a very different position. And Bitcoin just kind of knocking away at all of these little financial institutions. And at some point it's gonna be required that these financial institutions have some exposure, lest people won't give them their money.
It's probably weird for some of the people in here to hear that, like Bitcoin being a $5 million market cap, because they weren't around then. But
I thought that was huge. I had $10, so.
But like, how was it? Was it fundamentally still kind of the same? Was the community still kind of the same, or are we in a very different place now?
No. It was weirder. Here's the thing, like to come into Bitcoin early, you have to be kind of nuts. And what's been strange to me is to watch like adults walk into Bitcoin and have people come in here who I like look respectable. They have suits on. Women came pretty late compared to the men. Like the men came first. Then women are getting here. There's like a lot of them. We're getting really competent women now in Bitcoin that are like doing things. Like this is an asset that was like high risk. The most retarded people got in first. They bought a lot of it and they held, and now they're like those same people that are like billionaires now are like peeing in bottles and holding them in hotel rooms. Like that's the level of person that was early. And now we have people who like actually they manage funds. There's people like putting together insurance companies, like real financial products are coming to this space run by real adults. And Bitcoin is seeing an evolution from the non-professional to the professional class. And I think that's really strange. It's probably necessary and good, but it's weird because again, like Bitcoin Uncensored, the whole idea was that we would be, we were the only ones that knew anything about this. So you had to invite us and we'd come in our underwear. And then your Goldman Sachs, like, well, you can't wear that in here. Like, then you don't get to hear about Bitcoin. And then they would be like, okay, fine. Only you can wear underwear into the boardroom. And so like, that was the idea was like, you tell us that we're stupid for playing with this thing. Good on you. Great. You're right. We're stupid. Oh, now you want to hear about it? Great. Oh, we'll talk to you about it, but you have to let us do our thing because you guys are the actual rubes. But the rubes are here now. And the professional class is here. And they still haven't figured it out. They have to go through their shitcoining. Shitcoining has to happen before you Bitcoin. I don't know why. It's a necessary thing. Everyone has to go through it. And so like all the professionals are here and they have to like shit on Bitcoin for a few more years because they have to lose all their money first. Just like all of us did.
Yeah.
They have to find out why Ethereum is total BS. They have to find out why Ripple is stupid. They have to find out that all of these things that they think are done on blockchain either can't be done on blockchain or Bitcoin can do. And it's going to take them a while.
I was in the Moxie the other night, just as we'd finished our a day, and I was just sat in the bar on my own, and some girl came up. She wanted to charge her phone. And she said, "Oh, what are you working on?" I was like, "I'm just doing a bit of work. I've got a podcast." I was like, "What do you do?" She said, "I work in film." I was like, "Oh, what kind of films do you make?" She said, "Oh, we're making a film about AI and the cross section with blockchain." Yeah,
told you how. I've been predicting this next pump is going to be AI projects. And so I think that's like every pump with Bitcoin has come with a level of stupidity and another stupid thing. So last couple pumps ago, it was ICOs where everybody was going public. They weren't going public, but they were selling you crap. And all of those went to zero. This last one, it's been NFTs. So we've been debating what the next one is. I think it's going to be blockchains that promise rides to the moon, literal rides, and do AI.
No, we found out what it is, didn't we?
What's that?
The IFO.
The IFO, the initial farm offering.
Yeah, apparently initial farm offering.
Farm stuff is getting big now. People like that. None of these have anything to do with blockchains. And you know what's funny? Like there's a company out there called Masterworks. You ever heard of this?
Yeah.
Masterworks started offering fractional art. Every art piece is an LLC. You can go on their website and buy it. And I looked at this site and I was like, oh, this is a blockchain company. It's very clear to me. I haven't talked to the founders, but I'd guarantee you if you talk to them, I'll bet you $1 million that idea started out as, hey guys, we could do like fractional ownership of art on a blockchain. And then as they walk through it, they realize that there actually is a business there, but it's using the traditional structures, wrapping them in an LLC, and then putting a market online and letting people trade fractional ownership in art. That's what you can do. You can do the same thing with farms. You can do the same thing with everything. But like for some reason, this notion of the blockchain enabling this has persisted to this day. And it's absolute insanity because it has nothing to do with any of these business models other than it reflects the business model. It looks like that business model. And I think that like maybe that's where Bitcoin or blockchain has contributed in that it opened up the minds of entrepreneurs to be able to do this fractional ownership stuff. I think there's a lot of uses for fractional ownership of a lot of things, but you don't need the blockchain for it. You just need a, MySQL database.
So where do you hope things go then? Because you've been through a lot of this, like multiple cycles. You've been through all the different kind of shitcoin projects, all the narratives that proved wrong. What do you kind of hope would happen now?
I feel like
advice?
Well, my thing here has always been like I feel like I see the future in Bitcoin. Like when Vitalik coined the term blockchain or Bitcoin maximalist, when he coined the term Bitcoin maximalist, it was actually like a day or two after he had a debate with me and Chris on Skype. And we've always said, and I'm fairly certain because the description in that article is basically of the debate, that he was talking about us. So we always said we were the first Bitcoin maximalists, for that reason. And I think the reason that I latch on to this notion of Bitcoin winning ultimately is because it's so clear to me that none of this other stuff has any value. And it's just going to take so long. So what do I want? I want to be right about that. I think that once we can move past all of the money grubbing, grifting, and lies about what blockchains do, once we can like cut away the briar of that like just shit meadow, I think that's when we can see this technology actually begin to change the world. But until then, I think we are in a world where like I fear for the possibility of like a 1990s Albania where like we end up all investing in like we see trillions of dollars flow into what amount to Ponzi schemes. and the entirety of like economies getting crushed because people are chasing wealth. And if you want to know what that looks like, just look at this last time. This last time around, people were putting their money into these Ponzi's, obvious Ponzi's, Luna. And was it Mike Alfred who had the tattoo? Who is it?
Novogratz.
Novogratz. Mike Alfred always confuses me. Mike Novogratz had the tattoo.
He confuses a lot of us.
I do, yeah. Novogratz put the Luna tattoo on his arm. And this is like a professional class investor that people have for many years told me is very smart. Maybe he is. Maybe he's the smartest guy in the world. I've been in like rooms with him, and I've the shit coining has always bothered me because I thought a smart person would be beyond that. But he loved Luna. Put it on a tattoo, so much so that he put a tattoo of it on his arm. And thousands of other people did this. There were millions and millions of dollars locked up into this. And when it collapsed, billions, I didn't want to say it, but billions of dollars.
What was it, 40 billion market cap at the top? I know that's not
as much as Madoff.
Yeah.
Madoff's Ponzi was what, 40-ish billion. These people, and there's some major differences. Like, for example, Madoff took money from people who were wealthy. Luna took money from people who were wealthy that week because like they were all, people like me living in their mom's basement.
I'm going to challenge you on that. Madoff took money from people who weren't wealthy as well.
A lot of them, yeah. There were people that weren't wealthy, but they had their money with him for like 20 years, right? A lot of them. But he took a lot of the money he took was like people that were wealthy. And like when that collapsed, people like families that were previously very wealthy lost everything. Like royal families lost money on Madoff. In Bitcoin, there were some people like that, but in Madoff, I think that was probably the majority. In Luna, it probably is the minority of people putting money in were like these big, whales who came to Bitcoin with billions in their pocket and were just really excited and put all their money into Luna. A lot of the people in Luna were these people who came, they were retail, they put a little money in, they got rich. All of a sudden, they had millions of dollars. And then when Luna collapsed, they lost everything. Well, I worry about the world where we have a Luna come along and people with real money finally get here and start throwing their money in. And when this all collapses, this Ponzi, we see a huge, just destruction of wealth. And I think that could very well happen in the next few cycles if we continue to see the scams perpetuate that we've been seeing.
Well, so that is what Elizabeth Warren said.
Yeah, but she's crazy.
She potentially, yeah, it depends how you see it. I mean, look, I think she's factually wrong on a few things, but her point was if these crypto projects get so big and they collapse, you could cause systemic risks throughout the economy. And it's a fair point to make.
She's correct, but if she cared, she would learn what the technology does. I mean, that's like when she talks about Bitcoin, she sounds like a geriatric idiot who stuck her face in a toilet for 5 years and brought it up and decided to equivocate on something that she's never heard of. Someone said Bitcoin, and she's like, "Oh, I'll have an opinion on that." I don't fucking know where she got that.
But the truth of this is, because we've been diving into this, the truth is most of these senators, their opinions come from their staffers.
I agree, but what she needs to do, if she wants to actually have an opinion on this that makes sense, that allows her to regulate in a way, that allows her to propose regulation that would matter, these people need to actually learn what the tech does.
And I disagree with her, but my empathetic side is that I know how many different issues they're having to deal with. They cannot learn every issue. That they have to have staffers who kind of come up with their opinions and policies.
Oh, yeah.
And they represent them. So we could say she should learn that, but there's so many things she should learn. I'm saying I think if we need to turn this ship around, it's about educating the staffers.
That actually might be true. That might be the attack vector for. I'm not a lobbyist, but I imagine that if you are, that's probably a pretty good suggestion. The staffers do need to learn it. I mean, the thing is the rule, you have to shitcoin before you Bitcoin. I think is pretty hard and fast, which means that we're many years away from getting competent staffers because they will have to shitcoin. They have to believe that everything is possible.